Are we live, y'all? Are we live, y'all? Yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. Y'all know what it is. It is what it is. So, like they say, 1, 2, buckle my shoe. 3, 4, come on in the door. 5, 6 is what it is up in this. Don't you say that, Rev. Like the church people say, welcome, welcome, welcome. All you snows, crows, tacos, Oreos, Fritos, Cheetos, and I know it's some hoes up out there. It's them boys coming from the north side. And what y'all say?
What you got? Oh,
guess what? It's St. Patty's Day up in here, y'all. Yes, sir. It's the boys from the north. I got my cuz, Buddy Love. I got my dog, Bruce. I got my boy, T. Jizzle. And we got a special guest tonight. Her name is Miss Berry. And she's the one girl. She's the one girl. Bub, guess what? I can still Corona dance up in here. Y'all know who the one is tonight. So y'all gonna either hoe up, blow up, show up, get me out of here, Bub.
Man,
get your boy out of here, Bub.
I can't get you out of here soon enough. I can't get you out of here soon enough, man. Yeah, you
boy, put that St. Patty's hat on you boys tonight.
Yeah, you like 3% Irish, huh? 2. No, they want to say 1
What's
now.
Up with it out there, y'all.
What's happening? What's happening, man? Good to
What's
see y'all.
Going on?
Oh, there you go. There's my song here.
Y'all know it is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, so you represent the lollipop team.
Huh. What's up, fellas?
Man, good.
Man, it's all good. It's all good, man. Y'all, who you pick for the tournament? Just one answer. No explanation, just one answer.
I have no idea, to be honest.
Who you got, TJ? I know you got on your stats. Alabama.
I'm with Arizona. I got Arizona.
Who you got, Phil?
Gonzaga,
yeah. I have no idea who's playing. For some reason. I have not. You could tell me the Rockets about to play. I'll probably agree with you.
Right.
I wouldn't even know it.
TSU plays.
TSU didn't make it. Yep.
TSU tonight. They got Kansas in about an hour or so.
Yeah.
SFA girls made it. They played North Carolina Saturday.
It's been a while for them, huh?
Yeah.
It's been a while for them. Yeah, man.
We're going to see.
Damn. Wow.
Well, let's go get this cracking, man. We got a lot to do. We have a great guest to have on and very knowledgeable and can tell us some things that we don't know. And once again, this is still MS Awareness Month. So this is based around MS and the whole process of the whole gamut of it. So it's a different twist to it on tonight. But let's go to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ first. And then we're going to get to take my hat off so much. Chrome dome. And one thing, before we start praying, one thing I want to make sure everybody put in your hearts is we need to keep our kids on our minds, and keeping them covered. And that's been a pretty burden on my heart, just kids in general, little kids. It's hard times for little kids nowadays in this world. But we're going to and pray. We know who can handle this situation. Heavenly Father, we just thank you once again for allowing us to be here to have this open conversation between friends and between new friends. And we call them family, Lord, because we're like family. Lord, we just thank you once again for just being the gracious and giving God that you are. And we're just praying for especially for everything that's happening going on in the world now, to where there's a war, and also just in pandemic still, and gas prices are astronomical. And also just want to take care of in the mental mindset going forward, just thinking about the kids. We want to keep them lifted over this time. But we have hope because we know that you are the sovereign God, so you have all of this under control, and it's all within your plan. And Lord, let us be able to come out on the other side of your plan to be able to tell what you did for us and acknowledge that we are children of God. We just thank you once again. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so we here. It's been a minute. Last week, it was my fault.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, last week I was gonna play an old to be good, but then I didn't know how to work this process, so it didn't work out, and that was on me. And the one before that, we wasn't on because I had Dr. Lindsay on, which is my personal neurologist, which that was interesting within itself, and having a conversation with a super scientist. And I couldn't go as deep as I thought I wanted to, but because there's so much going on with him, just giving us this high level conversation about MS. But if you haven't seen it, go back on It Is What It Is podcast on YouTube, and you can absolutely see it. And we'll probably play it again too pretty soon. So it's all good. But let me stop talking and get the lady of the hour in. So Rev, you go get us cracking.
Get us cracking.
Yes, sir.
Hold on, y'all.
Warm it up, Rev.
Whatever.
We got another good one for y'all coming up in here.
Don, really?
All right, we back and we got the gun out of DC. Y'all, we got Miss Berry coming up on the stage tonight. And y'all know that girl is on fire. She Kaya on fire. Miss Berry with the MS Society. Get your on up in here. Break her in, love.
And she's here.
I'm here.
Thank you, Rev. She made it in.
Look at Miss Becky. Hit her with that Corona, that
Oh
man.
So it's official. We cannot take him nowhere. Uh-oh.
We can't take him nowhere, but we gotta take him everywhere.
He's stuck.
Yeah.
I mean, I told you to take that punch out. Man, that punch out stuff don't work, man.
So excited because Miss Berry is on here tonight.
Oh.
Man.
You act like you got one of them old great tapes over there or something, man. You trying to dub some stuff or whatever?
What?
Hey.
What's going on?
Hey, buddy, we can officially welcome Miss Chartese to virtual H-Town.
Yes, pretty much. Okay, so this introducing to Miss Chartese. So she, I'll go back to how we have not met because I've never met her in person. So we've, in me being on the MS Society board, National MS Society board here in this region, she is the president in a National MS Society in Maryland, in the Maryland area. So we spoke last, I think the first time we spoke was during the whole COVID process, to where, of course, this was after George Floyd. And one thing I could say for the MS Society, to where they escalate things going forward in such as diversity, inclusion, and also just including women and the whole process. I've seemed like I've seen the MS Society turn before other companies or corporations turn. And you reached out, and I forget who else reached out to me also. So we had this conversation about people of color or Black people with MS, and they would get my perspective of me having MS, and also how did I feel disenfranchised with the insurance process and everything. Also the connection with the MS Society. What was that like? And I was able to tell my story from a Black person standpoint, which I think is maybe different from others, but I have my own story. So that's how we connected the first time. So like I said, we've met, but we haven't met. We haven't shaken hands with, like, it's kindred spirits, just say hello, and then we just go forth from there. And then we've done other things since then. And now she's here. So I want to thank you once again for getting on, because you are doing a large deal for a great cause. So I really want to thank you personally for me having MS and being a MS person with MS, for what you're doing, and we're going to make it happen. So going forward. So now the president of the National MS Society, Maryland area.
Greater DC, Maryland.
Greater DC, Maryland. I'm sorry.
So it's the nation's capital, the entire state of Maryland, and Northern Virginia. So we have one of the largest footprints in the country. We serve over 20,000 people living in this region with MS. So, yeah. Just a minor correction.
Wow, I'm sorry. It's just
no. It's all good.
It's the greater chocolate town in Maryland and Virginia area. Okay, we want to appreciate that. So
stay off them capital steps.
Something what?
Stay off them capital steps.
Oh man, it's slippery over there. So we just want to welcome you on and try to get to know you first. So like the questions, I guess the first question is, where are you from originally? Well, I'm gonna stop you right there for a second. Before you get to that point, where did your name come from?
All right, couple things. One, thank you all for having me. I could not wait for this evening. I was so excited. Had an opportunity like Micah, aka Buddy Love, to connect with Micah over the last year and a half or so, and then of course invited him to be on a panel with Black trustees across the country. And when he asked me to be on the podcast, I was like, I'm excited about it. Then he shared with me how you all do what you do. And I was like, count me in. It's past my bedtime, though. I'm going to be real honest because it's 8:30 here. But it's all good. This is a highlight of my week, quite frankly, the highlight of my day. But my name is made up, Micah. My mother just made my name up. So it has no roots in anything. And I've not met another Chartese in 60 years. But so anyway,
I thought it was a combination like Charles and Clarice or something. I don't know.
No, it's not mommy and daddy, and it's just made up. My sister's name is Zara, and she's my older sister by about 4.5 years. And my parents, I'm from Washington D.C., originally from D.C., hometown. My parents actually, a princess was visiting D.C. back in the day, and her name was Zara. So my sister got a princess's name. And I just got some syllables thrown together, but it's okay.
Yeah, beautiful. That's cool. That was strong drugs back then. That's where you are, but it's a nice name. It's something you have to focus on when they're calling your name. So I really appreciate that.
Hey, can I say something, Michael, real quickly? My best friend, I think I got two best friends. One lives in Plano, Texas. She's from DC.
Okay.
One is from Indiana. And she actually, I know she's on because I saw her pop up after our prayer. Her name is Dawn Ridley. There she is. So Dawn Ridley's in the house. Dawn went to IU and then Clark Atlanta for her master's. But I just want to give a shout out to Dawn, my bestie. You did meet
What's up, bestie Don?
Yeah.
What's up, Don?
Dawn, you didn't tell me you met another Chartese, but
she's cheating on you. She's cheating on you.
But in other words, one of the things I was going to say was that Michael, you talked about our diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Dawn actually is on our national diversity advisory committee. I nominated her to be on the committee. Okay. She's the incoming chair. So she'll be doing a lot of work partnering with our president and CEO, advising our president and CEO, and working with our VP of DEI on a lot of our initiatives. So Dawn's on the line, and she's my bestie. So
Hey, Dawn. Hey,
bestie.
Glad you made it. And she has responded. She said, yes, my bestie. Of course. Absolutely. So in starting your career, where did you start out? Like, how did you get in the process of being who you are now?
Yeah, so that I'm going to give you an abbreviated story because when you're 60 years old, your resume and your bio gets a little long.
Don't start at McDonald's.
I'm not going to start at McDonald's. You all already know because I think it was B-Dub who said she went to school. No, it was TJ who said he did his homework and found out that I went to school with Patrick Ewing.
Yep.
I actually am a little older than Patrick. I graduated 83. Patrick came after me in 84. But I went to Georgetown, came back to Georgetown in 1988 to 1987. And I started working in sports information. I became the sports information director there for 4 years. I was there. I was recruited to go to the National Basketball Association to be a media spokesperson in the league office. I was there for a couple of years in New York City, and I was recruited to come to the NFL Players Association, the union that represents current and former players, as assistant vice president there. I worked there for about 5 years. That's where I met my bestie. She was also an assistant vice president there. Mm-hmm. And from the NFL Players Association, I was recruited by the Washington Nationals when baseball came back to DC. So I was there for 6 years. In the meantime, I'd been a long-time volunteer with another voluntary healthcare organization. And so I had been a fundraiser like you, Micah, raising money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society for WALK, chairing a lot of their fundraising events. I became a board member like you, Micah, with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society for about 10 years. And then the MS Society recruited me to come and do this work. And so I reinvented myself at the age of 50 to go into philanthropy after 30 some years in sports. So I have the best job in the world. This is, it's been a dream for me to be able to lead an organization, a very, very important mission for me. I wanted to make sure that I was able to change the lives of people living with chronic and life-threatening diseases. And so I'm doing it. That's what I'm 7 years into this. And who knew from sports, communications and community relations and PR that I would be here. But, I guess my thing is that it's never too late to change some things up and to be what you want to be. Right. So.
Wow.
And you come in, and that's awesome. Your career path. That's very insightful to where you can do it. Like it's. I was speaking to my sister before, and she asked me who was going to be on the podcast. And I told her, she said, "Man, that's what I wanted to go into before." And I didn't know how you got started initially. So now you told us, so like that whole career path is awesome. To where now you're with the MS Society. So I think in thinking of you getting hired that way, how much did you know about MS before you were hired?
Not much, to be honest with you. I mean, I knew a lot about, the research that was taking place in oncology and in blood cancers specifically, because I was with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society for almost 20 years as a volunteer. And I'm actually a survivor. That's how I got involved with that organization, 20 years. I was diagnosed in 1999 with large B-cell stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a blood cancer of the, in the lymphatic system or the blood. And so I got involved because I wanted to be able to impact the lives of people like me. And so that's why I was raising money. So I didn't know anyone living with multiple sclerosis, though, Micah. But as you know, soon as you get involved in this work, you meet thousands, you work with thousands, and now whenever I go anywhere and I talk about what I do, there is not one person that I come across when I'm sharing my career or talking about my career, what I do, that hasn't met someone that is not themselves living with this disease. But I think that MS, we don't hear a lot about oftentimes. We're hearing more and more because of the work that you're doing, right? And the work that I'm doing. But you don't hear a lot about it because it's one of those diseases that I think oftentimes there's a stigma attached because it is a neurological disease that impacts the central nervous system. And oftentimes people have symptoms that impact them cognitively and physically. So there might be mobility issues. And, Mike, I'm preaching to the choir here, but a lot of times with these kinds of diseases, people don't want to disclose that they're living with this disease. So we don't hear about it because people aren't sharing their stories. So that's why I think it's so important. And this is why we're in the midst of MS Awareness Month, to talk about it, because we want people living with this disease to talk about it, to share their stories, to amplify their messages on Capitol Hill and in the halls of Congress, and to be able to share their stories so people hear them, and we can get more funding for research. We can educate more people. We can make sure that people living with this disease can live their best lives so that they can come to the MS Society, be educated, find doctors, find resources, connect with other people living with MS, learn about how to navigate their MS during COVID. I mean, those are all the things that we do at the MS Society. So
yeah. And they do a great job. And I kind of at a distance, I watch your chapter and how you operate also too, because we've connected on different levels. So I speak with Saronica quite often. And speaking of the MS Society and also people with MS and be able to tell their story, nobody really knew I had MS except these guys on this podcast knew I had MS when I was diagnosed. But I think nobody really realized I knew I had MS until maybe 10 years ago when I started writing MS 150. And before that, I was diagnosed so that was in 2010, 11, and I was diagnosed in 1999. So I've been blessed enough to be able to move around and not having any signs showing, visual signs showing of MS. Now, if you ask my sister, then it's the mental part of it is already processed a long time ago. It's crazy.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that one too, Bruce. But in saying that, like it's something like you saying, people feel empowered to tell their story. And when I started getting involved in MS Society, I felt more prone to tell my story, and also that was an opportunity for healing for me also by telling the story and be able to be not say proud, but not be ashamed of having MS because it's not my fault I have it, right? But it's just in the process of just understanding where I am and how I can move forward with it and help other people. I often tell people, me raising money is not for me now. My process is already done. So those who are newly diagnosed or haven't been diagnosed yet to where we need this cure to where they're going to go through the same things I've gone through. And that's my main goal because I know in most of the medical world, they say that MS is hereditary. So my fight is to make sure this cure happens before my sons have opportunity to have MS. So that's my why. That's why, but not for me. It's my why to get through that. So that's what I'm looking to go through that whole process. Go ahead, Phil. I'm sorry. Real, got your hand up.
Yeah, man, because my hand was getting tired of being in the house. I was just getting ready to say we have some. I think Miss Berry, and you got to excuse me, Miss Berry, but that's what I call you because I'm from the country. So Miss Berry have some guests on here tonight. Y'all need to shout Miss. And then somebody on there said 60 years old, BS. Now, Miss Berry, that area get good since that.
Anthony.
Say, you still got baby milk around your mouth, boy.
Yeah, I understand Anthony's gripe about that one because I'm still kind of bewildered about that particular comment when she said that. I'm just like,
shout your people out, Miss Berry.
So we got
Robert White. We got
a
few people on there.
Got cousin Pat on here. Got cousin Pat Afro Hill. And if you're not actually, that's a good plug right there too. Where if you're not actually
that's my classmate.
That's your classmate. Well, make sure they like and share.
Exactly.
YouTube. It is what it is podcast. When you do that, it'll come up when the next episode comes on. And then Donna's still chiming in also. God is a healer. Yes, he is.
Yes,
your testimony because your testimony. Absolutely. So it's a lot of people on here. Miss Robin Wright.
That's my other BFF. Yeah.
Family affair.
She's a trader. So Robin and I went to middle school together.
Wow.
We didn't go to the same college, but we stayed friends. She's still one of my BFFs, along with Dawn. I can't believe they're both on. What a blessing. But Robin, she's a trader because she left DC and acted like she don't know anything about DC. So now she's in Plano, Texas, and she's eating papados and all. I think Rev, you said you went to she's eating papados and all that kind of stuff.
Eating crawfish,
right?
Barbecue and pork bones and all that.
She's enjoying the life. So my next question, in the position that you have as the president of that area, how do you? I know it's a lot of people you're not saying controlling, but how do you manage to control the process of that MS Society? Because it's huge, for one, and it's very influential. So what's your main initiative for your local MS Society?
So, we are 31, 34 chapters across the country, and I am the executive in the market. So basically, I'm the face of the organization in this region, this market. And we work with staff. Every chapter president has varying staff that are in the, I have a very large team, actually, of over 28 folks who work in the market, and they have many jobs. I mean, I talked about our mission being three-pronged. We've got research, programs and services, and of course, advocacy. So our advocacy initiatives are based here in DC, very robust advocacy initiatives, both on the federal and state level. And we've got folks working in, the market here that are doing Walk MS, Break MS, which Micah, you're very familiar with. And thank you again for the work that you do and the money that you raise. And more importantly, for the voice that you have and making sure that people know about this disease so that we can find a cure. We've got folks working the market that are working with our healthcare providers, both general neurologists, but also MS specialists that have MS centers of excellence, making sure that they have the information, the resources to be able to take care of people even with MS. We've got folks in the market who are working on government relations and meeting with Capitol Hill officials and senators and that kind of thing. So each of us, as far as market presidents and chapter presidents across the country, we're all focused on the same thing. We've got overarching mission, but we all have very different markets. You know, we have different constituents. We've got different demographics. We got different events happening. I've got 13 walks in this market, 2 bike rides, an ambassador's ball, which is our big, our fundraising gala. That's a black tie event. We've got a luncheon. So there is always something going on. I have an amazing team here. Everyone's so committed and dedicated. And again, just a shout out to the volunteers. We're a voluntary health organization, which means that we can't do anything without volunteers, like you, our trustees, our board members at the highest level. But of course, anybody who's coming into the office and doing some work, anybody who's on the phone, making phone calls or fundraising for bike or walk or sitting on our committees or going, and sharing their stories with senators and congressmen in their districts. We can't do it without volunteers. So we have amazing volunteers in this market that do a lot of really, really good work. So yeah, it's always something going on, Micah, always something going on.
So something piqued my interest when you said the ball that you all have. And I would say there's 4 guys on this podcast that likes dressing up, taking showers and dressing up and going to ball. So we need to make that trip happen, definitely, to the ball.
Well, listen, I'm going to say this, and I think I have the authority to say this. If you all can get on an airplane, I can't pay for your flights. But if you get on an airplane and you all want to put some tuxes on and you want to come to the Anthem on the District Pier, it's a waterfront area. Anthem is a concert venue, but it's a beautiful venue for events. Put your black ties on and your tuxes and all that. September 22nd, 2022. It's the Thursday. We start at 6 with a VIP reception. We have dinner and program at 7. We end at 9, and we dance from 9 to 11 with the DJ and/or live band. So come on out. You will be my guests.
As the young people say less.
Even me, Miss Berry.
Yes, even you, Rab, of course.
Oh Lord. My wife gonna start working on my home training tonight.
No, I mean that. I would love for you all to come and see how we do it in DC, and come on out. It's a beautiful, beautiful event. But you will be my guest. You don't have to pay for a ticket or a table or anything. Come sit with me. But you might want to bid on some auction items. We got all kinds of sports events and experiences and wine baskets and all kinds of stuff. Trips to Dubai, and so come on down.
Somebody's coming.
Come on up.
Absolutely. No,
I have a question for Chartese. In this bout with MS, what are with this? I'm pretty sure there's a lot of dynamics that's being talked about and being worked towards or being worked on with MS. But what are 2 of the most alarming things that you have seen or witnessed that really doesn't get the exposure you feel like it needs to get?
Wow. I think Micah talked a little bit about this. When you are dealing with a disease of the central nervous system, which impacts the connection between the brain and the body and all the functions of the body, right? So with MS, of course, the myelin sheath, which is the protective coating around our nerves, is damaged. And so you can see that damage as lesions on the spinal cord and that kind of thing. So when that nerve tissue is damaged, then all the connections are not working right. So that's why there are cognitive issues. There could be tingling and numbness. There could be neural ophthalmic issues with, vision blurriness, even blindness. People have varying degrees of mobility issues, loss of control, very vital functions of our body. So with that, when that myelin sheath is destroyed, we don't know yet. We are working on it. And this is the cutting edge and the breakthroughs that we are looking for, working with, or working on, is to how to repair that. How do you repair that, that myelin sheath, that damage? How do you restore function? We haven't figured it out yet. And so that's the most alarming thing. And Micah talked about this, making sure that he protects his children if in fact they have a genetic predisposition to this disease. So we need to figure out with this work in myelin repair and restoring function, how to do that. Because once it's gone, it's gone. If you lose cognitive function or ability, you lose function in various parts of your body, either it stops and slow, progression is slow, or if you're living with the progressive form of the disease, it continues to progress. And right now, we don't know how to stop it. So that's alarming to me, because we say, time is brain, and it's, time is not on your side when you're living with this disease, if in fact you are seeing, progression in the disease course. So that's really alarming to me. And I think one of the other things that Micah talked about is we know that there are systemic issues that have persisted in our society that don't allow or don't afford people of color or underrepresented communities to be able to get the education, to be able to get the diagnoses as soon as they need it. And so what that means is that they are walking around, oftentimes people of color, underrepresented communities, with this disease, and they don't even know it, because either they're not educated, have not been communicated to, and on their levels in the ways that are meaningful to them, and the access that they may have to doctors, neurologists. And so you've got folks walking around with these symptoms and they're not being diagnosed until it's too late. And so that is the other thing that's alarming to me, Bubba, is just that, to see people, I've met so many, particularly Black men, who are walking around with canes and walkers. And they're saying to me, when I was 13, I kind of knew that something wasn't right. Or when I was 20, I knew that this was happening, but they weren't diagnosed until later in life. And there's no reason for that. There's no reason for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
how do we get these people, what do we do to help them get at least go and get themselves checked out?
One, we recognize that it's an issue. We admit and we subscribe to, and we are committed to the MS Society. And we are intentional about making sure that we're reaching out and we're reaching those communities, that we are bringing them in, that we are creating platforms by which they are able to connect with us. And Micah knows this. We are going into our third year in 2022 with the Black MS Experience Summit. That is a summit for Black people living with MS to be able to come and talk to other people, to connect with other people, to hear from neurologists that look like them. There are not many of them, and that's part of the other thing. We're building out a workforce and reaching out to fellows and researchers and scientists that are of color, because guess what? We oftentimes we want to talk to people that look like us. We want to connect with people that look like us. We trust them. They understand us. We have, shared lived experiences. So that's part of it. And so we're doing that with the Black MS Experience Summit. We're also doing that with a Latinx Experience Summit this year too. But the other thing is we have a robust hiring and recruiting practice now for the MS Society. I'm going to be real and honest. When I started, first of all, there's no one that looks like me as a child. And when I first started, I would be in our senior leadership and management team meetings, which were typically, vice presidents and up as far as titles, 70, 80 folks. No one looked like me. So when you've got people coming into a chapter office, and I think, Micah, you mentioned this and you told this story, come to a chapter office, or you meet people at a walk, or you meet people at a bike, and you don't see anybody on staff that looks like you, and very few people in the crowd that looks like you, then it's not a society for you. Then it's not your place. Right. It's not your society. It's not your organization. And that's not what we want. We want people to know that we are here for all people living with or affected by MS, and that we want to meet you where you are. We want to hear your story, and we want to be here for you. And so, there's so many things that we have, so much work to do. But I am proud, like Micah said, we are doing a lot. I was on the precipice of us embarking upon these efforts a couple of years ago after the murder of George Floyd. And we stood up an employee resource group for people of color. We started talking about this. We had, external statements, public statements. We started thinking about how could we reach out to grow the workforce? How could we reach out and try to really build up people of color to get involved in this work, right? And now we've hired a vice president of DEI. She's amazing. Her name is Nisha Fredericks. So now she is really leading that work along with, the volunteer committee that Dawn is on, along with people like Micah, who are representing our board members across the country. And so it's a lot of work. I mean, we know this. It's a heavy lift, right?
Yeah.
It's a heavy lift because we're trying to reverse things that systemic issues and problems and platforms that we've been dealing with for hundreds of years. But I will say I'm encouraged and I'm really excited because I know that we are serious about this work. I know that we are sincere in our efforts and we are very intentional about what we're doing. So thanks for that question.
Man, you just fired me back up again. I'm ready to roll. It's time to make this happen. So let's pause there and take a break, a breath, a fresh air. So not fresh air. This will be fresh. This is fresh air and lightning. Yeah, take a drink. There you go. That's even better. So we're gonna play our local resident game. We kind of call One Has to Go, or it is what it is in this process. So I'm gonna show you two pictures, or pictures of several different items of people, and we all just vote and voice our own opinion on which one has to go. And it's been known that people who are kind of get indignant behind the process to where they get kicked off the show. But we're gonna be nice. You're the lady of the show, so tonight. So we're gonna be nice. But you can voice your own opinion. You can't if you don't agree, we just don't agree. So it's all good. And I want to tell you, my dad told me to tell you thank you for your services.
Thank you.
That's my father chiming in.
Thank you, Mr. Love. I appreciate you.
We got Halima Johnson. We got Joy Love. We got Kim Carter. Yep. That's big sis Kim Carter right there.
Hey, Kim. Thank you.
No poke bones at the rails. Yeah, at the rails. Yeah, we got to poke bones at the rails. So we're going to do this. We're going to do an easy one first. So this is recently happened. So which one you prefer? Fall back or spring forward?
Oh my goodness, I'm
fall back.
Right now. Fall back.
Fall back.
Fall back.
Fall back.
I get it on the sleep part, but I mean, I enjoy the sun being out later in the night, so it's like 8:30 and the sun is still up.
See, but it's something Miss Berry said that I agree with. See, Miss Berry, on this show, these guys, they poke fun at me all the time because I'm like you. By 7:45. I'm in the coffin already. I'm already in the coffin by 7:45. That's all right. So I felt that when you said that this the roughest day of my week right here, because they'll say bye y'all, I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
My cousin Joy just like me. Fall back.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Miss Berry, this is one if you chime in, so this will kind of tell you more about you also. Which vacation you prefer?
Oh.
Beach, cruise, camping. I don't know. It's snowing. This is whack.
Yeah.
Which one?
I know which one. Yeah, no snow, no camping. But cruise and beach are kind of, they're tied.
I've never been on a cruise. Much as I travel.
Your girl Veronica goes on cruises all the time. You need to talk to her.
As long as the beach you go to is Galveston, you all right.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. All right, we'll get a little hard. We'll get into more music now in the process. Okay. So we got 4 groups, which I don't know if you like them: Drew Hill, 112, Jodeci, or Blackstreet. Which one got to go?
Oh, gotta go. That's a hard one.
It is. Okay, well, do this. Since we can't answer that, rank them from 1 to 4 if you want to. Who's your favorite out of that 4?
You know you gotta say Jodeci.
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 Yeah. And then my
Black.
No, come on, Dawn. Are you on this? Dawn, where are you weighing in on? Dawn is a big music.
I think
Jodeci, 112.
Yeah,
Black,
man.
Yeah.
Drew Hill.
I'm with the Rev. I like that. I like that.
Jodeci 112 Blackstreet, Drew Hill. I'm gonna put Blackstreet below Drew Hill.
Yeah.
Blackstreet gonna have like 2 albums.
Yeah. And they were bigging on that one.
Yeah,
they're all the same after Jodeci. Dawn said they're all the same after Jodeci.
That would be true. I agree with Dawn on that one. I really appreciate that. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's see. All right. Yeah, listen to the storyline of it. You have a 5-hour car ride, and you have to listen to only one. Which one are you listening to?
All of them. Ain't no one.
Ain't
no one. You got to stack the CD.
5-hour car ride.
5 hours.
I know you're going to pick
Marvin or Stevie.
All of them.
You want Stevie?
I would start out with Stevie, probably cross him with Mike, and then hit him back with Kale, and go on and push it on in with that Marvin. I want you. I said I won't, but I want you to want me.
Hey, buddy, on a 5-hour car drive, I'm gonna go with Chaos because I'm gonna hit some with Chaos.
I gotta take all of them with me. I'm sorry, Miss Berry, we cheat. We taking all of them with me. We finna go from Texas to DC. What we gonna do? So we need.
Well, that ain't no 5-hour car ride. I can tell you that. That ain't no 5-hour car ride.
Not at all.
That's probably almost a 5-hour flight.
Right,
man. Yeah.
No, it's not 5 hours.
It's 2.
All right, this is gonna be the last one. This is the last one.
Okay, what we got?
Because of movies, which one got to go? 5 Heartbeats, Temptations.
Oh.
What's Love got to do with it? Color Purple.
Oh.
Which one got to go?
Ooh.
I didn't say it's gonna be easy.
God. Which one has to go?
Which one has to go?
Just couldn't rest till you got in your house, could you? What is it with this Sugar Avery? It's like it's all.
So you saying Color Purple got to go?
Baseball.
No.
So Color Purple got to go?
That has to stay.
Well, let's go. You gotta pick one.
I'm giving you my numero uno.
All right, come on, Miss Berry, give it to us.
One got to go.
One got to go.
I'll say what one got to do when it got to go for me.
Okay.
Oh, the 5 Heartbeats has to go.
Right.
I know. It's okay. Do I get kicked off the show?
Was it the Temptations a made-for-TV movie? So it wasn't actually a motion picture. So that's got to go.
Yeah, I was leaning toward Temptations too.
Okay, it was between those two. Okay, all right.
But think about how much history, or not history, but like how many taglines that come out of all those movies.
Yeah.
Like Bruce is reciting Color Purple, and then you got the Eddie Kane for 5 Heartbeats. So you got Eat the Cake anime. Like all those.
If you die, I'm gonna kill you.
If you die, I'm gonna kill you. So like it's that whole.
No, look at anime. I left that narcotic alone. Come on back home, girl. Yeah, hell, I can't take it.
Yeah.
Man, this boy, he was wow.
No, I haven't seen the Temptations. So that lets us know a lot. I mean, like TJ, thank you. You said it was like it was a made-for-TV movie, but it was a good movie though. Still, it's one of our cult classics, I guess you would say. In progressing going forward, we get back to the show now. So that's our little fun. So we finished with that. So you made it. Congratulations.
I didn't get kicked off.
You made congratulations.
I wasn't gonna start any trouble.
No, don't start. That won't be done.
Right.
We weren't gonna kick you off the show. We're probably gonna put you in jail on here. That's about it. You're gonna be in a little time out corner by yourself.
Yeah, just watch us.
Yeah. With some of the boys around. We're gonna feed you commissary. You're gonna get some cookies and 2 crackers and a bottle of water. That was it. Commissary.
Man, what is you talking about?
We're gonna put it in jail on here.
Okay.
I'm going to jail.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna put it in jail on here.
I got you.
As long as I get some toilet paper, I'm good.
Oh,
Give me some toilet paper, please.
Have you been to jail before?
No.
Oh.
No. But if I go, I want toilet paper.
Well,
that was
let me help you out with that. It ain't gonna happen. No, I'm just playing.
But and speaking of the whole cult culture, that we have this mindset of, you know, we have our things as the African American race. Of course, in the process of for MS, to where it can be how we disenfranchise for insurance coverage for people of color. I know the MS Society is doing a lot in making sure from the advocacy side to try to push that initiative for the government to take recognition for this MS in general. And in telling this story to where the stories I've heard from my family, my great grandfather, people thought he was drunk all the time, but he didn't drink. And we know that's kind of a byproduct of having MS and being dizzy, or, you know, just to have that sensation of being drunk. So the hereditary portion goes a long ways for my family, because everybody on the same side or the same branch of the family for me has MS. I have 4 of the cousins who have MS. But in saying that, to where now he didn't have the insurance coverage that we have now, of course. And quite often, and I feel fortunate enough to have the insurance that I do have to cover me for the medications that are out there now. And we'll get to the commercials in a minute, TJ. So I'm raising money for the MS 150 for the cure for MS. That's my main goal. I'm going to see a cure in my lifetime. I firmly believe that. And I hope you, Chartese, agree with you on that one also. That the cure is right around the corner. But in me going through that process and saying that, to how important it is for fundraisers or raising money or the balls or the walks to raise as much money as possible, and tell me where those avenues are going for the money to tell I know, but just tell everybody else how it's processed out to where we see where our money is going and sticking when we donate.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, because, you know, we say among our ranks, you know, we're a nonprofit, so we don't apologize for having to raise money, because no money, no mission. You know, if we don't raise money, because we are a voluntary, as I mentioned, voluntary healthcare organization, we're not selling anything. We are raising money to be able to advance our mission, which is, like I mentioned before, 3-pronged. One is research. We're trying to find additional therapies to help people to be able to manage their disease, meaning symptoms right now, and to slow down progression, and to eventually find a cure, to eventually be able to determine how we can predict the disease. That's a cure as well. We can stop progression. That's a cure. Or we can reverse the loss of function. That's also considered a cure. So that's the research piece. And the second part, as I mentioned before, is programs and services. So we can educate people. We can have things like the Black MS Experience Summit. Got to raise money to be able to do that, right? We have to pay people. We have to pay my salary to be able to do this work. So again, no money, no mission. And the other thing you mentioned, Micah, is we advocate on Capitol Hill, not only in the halls of Congress in DC and the Capitol, but we also advocate on the state level. We have district activist leaders across the country. We have government relations advisory committees across the country. They're working with state legislators in their various districts, sharing their stories, reaching out to them, tweeting at them, you know, sharing some of the things that we're doing and some of our public policy priorities. For example, access to medications. We know that MS is one of the most expensive diseases. It oftentimes costs people anywhere between $65,000 and $95,000 a year, right? To be able to get their disease modifying therapies. It is a very expensive disease. It's also an expensive disease when it comes to how it impacts society, when you aren't able to function fully because of the disease, and how it impacts your ability to do your job, and whatever that means. That impacts society, right? That's a bigger picture thing. So we advocate, and we're the voice for people, along with our volunteers who do that work, you know, for access to medications, home modification tax credits. We advocate so that Medicare is appropriately handled when it comes to living with this disease and those who have Medicare. So I would just suggest anybody who's interested in the work that we're doing in terms of reaching out to legislators to make sure that we impact the laws that do impact insurers, the pharmaceutical companies and things like that, to check out our website, mssociety.org, and see how you can get involved. Because really, that kind of thing, as you all know, in politics, it's really just raising your voice, amplifying the message, and reaching out to your congressmen, your senators. I was on a call yesterday with one of our congressmen here, and David Trone, a Democratic congressman. We had a meeting with his office, and we talked about, the importance of people being able to have access to medication. So if you cannot get your medication, then it doesn't do any good that we have it, right? That we to do the work to bring these medications and these therapies to market through the Federal Drug Administration process. We bring them to market through clinical trials and all this. But if you can't afford them, and you've got to decide between putting food on your table, feeding your children, educating your kid, and your medication, most times you might not take your medication because you need to pay your rent, right?
Right.
We need people to be able to afford their medications, right? We need people that need to be able to maneuver through their homes and get a ramp, or to be able to do some things within their home so that they can live safely. They can get in and out of a bathtub and clean themselves. We need to make sure that people who are taking care of people living with MS, that they are being compensated for that work. Those are all the kinds of things that we don't think about that are so important for people that are living with chronic diseases. And it's real. It's a real problem. It's a real problem. So that's the stuff that we do in terms of the public policy and the advocacy work. And that is so important. So again, if we don't have these fundraising events like Walk and Bike, and people like you who are raising funds for us, even if it's $1 here, $1 there, it all adds up. We can't do what we are supposed to do. We can't do our work. So, it's real important. So I appreciate you mentioning that. And I love what you said too, Micah. You said, you're raising money, not necessarily for you. You've been diagnosed, but you're raising it for the legacy that you're leaving, your children, right? And so, it's important work. It's real important work. So,
and to piggyback on what you're saying, or to push it further, have you seen progression since you've been in this role in that advocacy portion?
Oh my goodness, let me tell you. So I started with the MS Society. I'm in my 7th year, and hey, LaShawn, that's my other BFF. I know it seems like
I mean, wait a minute. You have a fight pretty soon.
We done lost count on BFFs now.
Yeah.
You got a parade of BFFs.
What's that, a club?
LaShawn, I met LaShawn at the NFL Players Association too. She's an amazing, beautiful young woman who is also one of my ride or dies. Thank you, LaShawn, for getting on. So, yes. So I have seen so much. I mean, it's just incredible. So when I started 6 years ago, there were 12 drugs that were on the market. And by the way, the first drug had never even been on the market for people living with MS until 1995. So that was my oldest daughter was born in 95. So it's 27 years ago. And then now, so we had 12. Now, 6 years later, we have 24 on the market. That is the progress that we've seen because of the work of people like you, Mike, and volunteers that are helping us push this research forward and making sure that we have something for people living with MS. I mentioned earlier that there's relapsing, remitting, and then there's a progressive form of the disease. I talked a little bit about that earlier. Well, until 2017, people living with a progressive form of the disease, which means that you've diagnosed, your disease keeps progressing. Right? It doesn't slow down. It just keeps progressing. Well, before 2017, there was nothing on the market for people living with progressive MS. And then there was a drug that came to market in 2017, which is the first and right now the only drug for people living with MS. But we're still working on that. We've got an international collaboration, which is really crazy to me, having been in this space, meaning in the science and research space for so many years, is that the National MS Society leads a global collaboration of over 15 countries across the globe that are working on therapies and breakthroughs and disease-modifying therapies and symptom management opportunities for people living with the progressive form of the disease. It's called the International Progressive MS Alliance. So we've got countries like France and Switzerland and Sweden and Belgium and the Netherlands we're just making sure that we got the best and the brightest across the world coming together to bring their findings so that we can advance this work. And I've just not seen that in the space before, where you've got people across the globe really collaborating on an initiative like that, especially with a nonprofit leading that work. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And it is, and you mentioned about the different. So I have relapsing readmitting MS, and I can tell you one of the scariest things. Whenever I do have an exacerbation, I don't know how far it's going to go.
Yep.
Where it gets to the degenerative part, to where I don't know when it's going to stop. To where I think that's one of the scariest parts of having MS. But of course, in having this, like I say, class of MS, it's a blessing within itself, because I'm able to still move around and do things such as biking MS and be able to raise money and to be as active as I can and possibly going forward with that. This is, and I don't know if guys, you have another question? Because I have one last question.
No, I'm just listening and learning, man.
Okay, I really appreciate that, Bruce. So if somebody's the first time walking into the society where you house or where your office is, and they walk in and they two-part question. If they don't have MS and they do have MS, what would be your elevator speech to them walking in and say, hey, what is this MS Society place? What is this? To somebody who's foreign to MS.
Right. I mean, and for someone who's foreign to MS, I think the most important thing is to talk to them about the disease, what it is, disease of the central nervous system that disrupts the flow of information between the brain and the body. It's a debilitating disease. It can lead to immobility. I would also say that over 1 million people are living with this disease, and that it is important that we urgently find a cure for disease, where we need to stop the progression so that people can live their best lives.
Okay. Well, now what if somebody who has MS coming in for the first time to society, they were just diagnosed 6 weeks ago, and they walk in, they heard about MS Society, so they stopped by to see what's going on. They run into you, the president, like, oh wow. Hey, how are you doing? Yeah.
How are you doing? So, I mean, the most important thing is that we exist because people are living with MS, and we exist to serve people living with MS and their families. We want to make sure that they live their best lives, that we find a cure for this disease, and that they find a home and a way to connect with us. One, to navigate their journey, to be able to be educated, to find the resources, the information, the people, to make them feel that they're not alone, that they're not isolated, and just to know that we're here for them. We, again, I don't really like the term one-stop shop, but quite frankly, having worked with other voluntary healthcare organizations, I feel like we are really a beacon of hope. Because if you are concerned about and you don't feel optimistic about a cure, we are working on that. Right? If you need education, if you need information, if you need a support group, if you need an educational platform, if you need to know how to navigate COVID with your MS journey, we are the place for you. If you want to make sure that your state legislators know your story and how important it is for you to be able to get that medication and that important therapy, we are the place for you. So you can get connected, you can get involved. And if you want to just, we have enough for you to do. There's enough for everybody, right? So however you can get involved, however you need us, we're here.
Yeah, you can get in where you fit in. So I agree.
Fit in. Get in where you fit in.
And that's how I felt coming into society here. I'm in Houston. So it's across the board nationwide. And speaking of Houston, shout out to Linda Bates and also Saronica and Carlin, all those guys in the MS Society here. I know they're maybe watching. But we have to pay bills, and for the last bill paying process, I need your help out on it.
Okay.
So we get to it in a second. So TJ, Here we go.
All right. Welcome everybody and viewing. And once again, thank you for having Chartese for being with us tonight. But for those of you checking us out, thank you for already subscribing. If you haven't, please go out to our YouTube page and subscribe to It Is What It Is podcast. All caps with all of the proper spacing. Please get that done. We need your assistance. Instead of asking B-Dub, the Rev, Buddy Love, or myself, when y'all coming on? When you doing the next show? If you go out and subscribe to It Is What It Is podcast on our YouTube page, it will give you a reminder if you are a subscriber. So please do that for us. Thank you.
Yep. And people ask me that. I said, right now, I'm going to send it to you. So you can watch it and then you go like and subscribe. So you
absolutely
can TJ.
All right. Want to give a shout out to the Rev, aka government name Phil Humber. He can be reached at 281-960-0763. ABM Insurance representing. He will take care of all of your auto, home, life, and commercial insurance needs. Please get that done. We're on here talking about MS. This is Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Month. Also, please get your life insurance needs done.
Please.
Take care of life insurance. Every month is Life Insurance Awareness Month. You need to get that taken care of. Auto, home, life, commercial insurance.
She said, "Oh, the Rev got a job. He got a job."
ABM Insurance. Call Rev Phil Humber at 281-960-0763. He will appreciate it because he's tired of frying fish. He's tired of barbecuing for people for their funerals and things of that nature. We need you to get your life insurance. We don't want to be selling plates for people to take care of their funeral needs.
Yeah. No plates.
All right, Mo, the tax man, please get this done. Take care of your taxes. We are less than a month away from the deadline. I don't think there are going to be any extensions, more extensions, and all the things that we've gotten used to over the past couple of years for COVID. At this point, it seems as if COVID doesn't exist in a lot of places anymore. So if it doesn't exist in a lot of places anymore, it probably won't exist as far as the federal government when it comes to your taxes. Your deadline is April the 15th. Please get that done. To get that done, reach out to my man Mo over at Taxman Multi Services. You can call Mo the Taxman. He can be reached at 281-954-7777. Again, Mo the Taxman. Please call him 281-954-7777.
Okay, that's to pay bills. So now this is my part to start begging, if anything, but not really. But this is what the show about, MS Awareness Month. And in this, I'm riding a course again for the 10th year. This is the 10th year anniversary for the MS 150 to ride. We've been a part of it, but the last 2 years were rained out. You can donate to my page. Go to mssociety.donorsdrive.com. Put in Michael Love as the rider, and you're able to donate as much money as you want to. There's no limit on the money you can donate. And there are also some special treats that you or to donate $5, $10, $20. So I'm going to do a raffle to where you get I'm going to do a Riding Dirty MS 150 Riding Dirty jersey framed, like the baseball frames, like you know what I'm talking about. That you can win that. Also the Micah Story book, which is on my shoulder over here, autographed, and also a $100 gift card to somewhere. So you can donate $5 and have an opportunity to win that. And as your donations go up in price, to where you have more opportunities to win those gifts also. So TJ, you can win your money back.
And Bud, and I want to add a disclaimer to that. We accept the kind that jingles, but we prefer the kind that folds.
Absolutely. And I even like the ones that's plastic.
Absolutely.
That comes even
on the drive.
Absolutely. So back to Chartese about the you helped me with this commercial. What would you say if you were riding MS 150 to raise funds?
If I were riding the MS 150?
If you was riding MS 150, yeah.
Wow. I mean, just the fact that I'm riding the MS 150, that I'm out there and I would just think people need to help me do that and encourage me and inspire me. Right. I think always sharing your story like you do, Micah, is just sharing your story. I love what you said about it's, you mentioned it doesn't, we take as much money, but we also take as little money. So, yeah. So whatever you have, I mean, I think oftentimes people feel intimidated by, large, fundraising amounts and things like that. But
right.
You do give what you can, give what's meaningful to you. And it honestly, I know it sounds cliche, but it's not just a little bit that it doesn't matter how little, right? Whatever
it adds up. Mm-hmm. Oh. It adds up. So I totally agree with you right there. So Don, there you go. That's how you can help. Go to mssociety.donor. And my name. So, but I'll get you proper information. Of course, the Crimson and Cream love all day long. So you see it in the background. Hey, it's embedded in me. Thank you very much for getting on. We really appreciate this. We couldn't do this without you. And you've enlightened our day on tonight. And we just, I owe you tons. Like I said before, we're going to get you this T-shirt that says it is what it is. I think you have something special for it. It is what it is also next to you.
I did. So let me just, I was sharing with the crew here. Put on my little hat. Oh. I didn't get this specifically. Can you all see that? I didn't get this.
Bub, can you take that picture, Bub?
Yeah, I only move a little bit right quick.
Get that picture. Get that is what it is.
With his flat profile.
Okay, I got it. We good. Absolutely.
Word.
You know what? That's how God works, right?
Yep.
It's like this is. We didn't talk about the name of the broadcast, but then as I looked at the flyer, I was like, that's what I say all the time. I say it all the time. And so a friend of mine was like, you say this all the time. Let me get you this hat. So yeah. So, like I said, thank you all for having me. You all have really blessed me tonight.
Thank
you for opening up your broadcast with a blessing and giving God the glory. Micah, it's just been amazing to get to know you. I hope to meet you. I'm not kidding. You all need to come to DC September 2022 and be my guest, honestly. If you need a hotel room, I'll get you guys.
Yeah.
Hey, we just got to get up there, man. From West Virginia, we just
man.
And Real, bring more than one pair of drawers too when you come. Bring more than one pair of drawers when you go.
I will. I'll be out of town. You know my wife.
We're not going to the laundromat right quick. No, we're not doing that. We go.
You know my wife will pack my bag for me, so I have to.
You're good to go. Well, thank you once again.
I know you old school, Rev. I know you old school when your wife is packing your bags.
Yeah.
That's a good.
She gonna put all my stuff in there and my blood pressure pills in there.
But they blood pressure pills. Man, don't get you some grapefruit. Put some pills.
And go to sleep. Get you some rest.
Exactly. And leave that damn coffee alone.
Right.
Thank
all right,
you
y'all.
So much.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Great to see you all.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, Real, what you got going on over there right quick before we get out of here?
Hey, checkout time.
Hey, man, y'all know what time it is. It's time for us to check up out of here. And, man, it was a good, informative show this evening on the Is What It Is show. Shouts out to my girl, Miss Berry. Like I say all the time, she a teacher, a preacher, and an electrician around here. Protons, neutrons, and big newtons around here. Bub, get us up out of here because we got to go.
What?